an introduction. Have you ever noticed how the less you know about something, the easier it looks? Like, let's take basketball, for example. I don't play much basketball, so I don't really know. I turn on the TV and I see these guys, oh, they get millions of dollars for this. All they do is throw the ball in the hole. But if you try it for yourself, David's got the ball. 3 seconds left, he takes the shot. Whoa, what a humdinger. Suddenly not so easy. But you learn something when you try. And the more you learn about something, the more you appreciate why people who are good at it are just so good. So having done a few speeches myself, I'm getting that realization. And I wanted to share 3 tips I learned from watching professional speakers. Now the first tip I learned was from this speaker. Her name was Linda Berry. She's a cartoonist as well as an English teacher. She was hilarious. Like, this lady, the jokes were coming a mile a minute, between like her crazy family, between her work pairing up like college students with 5-year-olds to work on experiments together. It was like you just couldn't keep up with the humor. But here's the thing. Her speech didn't start out very confident. She had the biggest case of stage fright I've ever seen. She got up there and she was like, "You'll have to excuse me, everyone. I'm very scared of public speaking. But if there's one thing I've learned, if you're scared of speaking, you should start singing in public." And she burst into song, and from that point on, she was like a whole different person. So I think you can see where this is leading. And I hope you guys brought your earplugs. Because I'm going to give it a try myself with a little Whitney Houston. Okay, here we go. I want to dance with somebody. I want to feel the heat with somebody. Yeah, I want to dance with somebody. With somebody who loves me. Oh, thanks everyone. Better believe I'm happy to get that out of the way. I'm seeing some concerned looks from the officer committee too, since this is my first speech. It's like, who's this crazy guy we just let in the club? Well, let me tell you, singing in the middle of your speech, it works great. I feel ready to go. Next up, my next speaker who I learned from, his name was Wes Moore. Now this guy, he was Superman. You name it, he's done it. He was a Rhodes Scholar, an investment banker, and he served in the US military fighting overseas in Afghanistan. His life was so exciting that Oprah's making a movie about it. Now as you can imagine, a guy like this is pretty confident. He'd have a loud, booming voice. But that's not what really left an impression on the audience. You see, Wes had this really tragic backstory growing up as a kid, a really challenging childhood. And his book is called The Other Wes Moore, because he met a guy with the exact same name, exact same background who's on death row. And Wes realized there's so many times in his life where if he had gone left instead of right, that could have been him. It was heartbreaking hearing him open his soul. Like, he started talking about how he was arrested for the first time at age 11, and then how he was sent to military school by his mom. And the real heartbreaker was hearing about how his dad was shot dead on the streets of Baltimore when he was just 12. And every time Wes went to these really emotional moments, he really started to get quiet. And he really started to slow down. And he took these beautiful big pauses to give everyone time to feel the emotion. It was such a powerful technique and one I won't soon forget. Now to wrap things up, I did some studying on some of the best speeches in Toastmaster history. For guests here, every year Toastmasters holds a big contest for the best speakers from around the world. You've got to compete at the state, national, and eventually international level to win this thing. I've tried once and I got my butt kicked, so I realized just how good these people are. Now, watching these speeches for a good conclusion, I noticed they've all got the same pattern. they've all got like a theme to their speech, usually the title. And at the very end, they get the audience involved and repeat it a bunch of times to leave that final impact. So I hope you guys are ready. I'm going to need you to participate to finish things up. I can see Kat's ready. She's ready to go. So my last closing thought and speech theme is, if you want to improve, learn from the pros. So if we could all try saying it together. If you want to improve, learn from the pros. All right, we're going to try it again a little bit louder. If you want to improve,